do that otherwise? We really have to have this here to tell us that we need to concentrate on what we're doing. We need to have it in writing that it's responsibility to act based on the merits. Really? We have to act on the merits? Really? We have to put that in writing? You feel it's important to put that in writing? We have to act on the merits. Why would you put that there?
Would you like to finish one?
Yeah, why would you put that there? We have to work on the merits.
So when I've looked at other towns, they've all put language to that effect, one way or another, and it's there for a reason. And I think
This is Lakewood Village. I don't give a crap what another city did. This is Lakewood Village. This is the board, right here. These are the people that serve on the city council. Why do you think this is relevant to the current city council?
you know, it's ironic because you're the one that set me in this direction. You had told me that in the past, there was a lot of unethical things happening years ago. And it's quite possible that, you know, we've gotten a heck of a lot better. All this is saying is
It's possible we got better?
it's possible.
We had embezzlement, we had people go to jail, and possibly we're a little better?
What I'm saying is, you've raised it to a certain level. This is recognizing that we're operating at the same level as every other good community out there. And we're basically stating, and again, it goes to the website, the ordinances, everything that we're doing, we're at this level. So when people are saying, what is it that the town, how,
What
yeah,
people? What people?
it doesn't, I would assume let's start with Americans. Okay, we can work it down to Texas, we can work it down to town like Lakewood Village, but the reality is, every town has this out there for a reason.
I've never been asked. I've never been asked.
So when you go to Little Round,
Yeah.
I don't go to Little Round.
William's a home rule city.
when you go to Little Round, they operate under a code of ethics. It's the
They're a
same,
home rule city.
it doesn't matter.
Yes, it
No,
does.
it does not.
Andy told you that you cannot have an ordinance as your home rule.
Actually, that's
Home rule
not.
cities,
That was not what Andy told me.
Andy told me what he told you.
I had a great conversation.
And I know, he calls me as soon as he hung up with you. I know exactly what Andy told me.
That's
So-
interesting, so,
So, a home rule city can adopt ethics laws. A general law city cannot. You've been told that repeatedly.
and when I asked him the question directly, and he said, straight up, I don't see where you can do this, and I pointed to, wow, where the other towns are doing it.
They're home rule
his-
cities.
His exact words were, huh.
There is no general law city authority to do this. There isn't
So
one.
this
It's general law.
is a proclamation,
That's right.
it is not an ordinance.
It's a sanctimonious proclamation impugning how we do our jobs. Sitting here saying,
Did you ever
the
think about-
mayor must inform themselves on public issues.
Did you ever think that?
Why
maybe
would you like that?
The guy who replaces you, or 20 years down the road?
You have to tell him to inform himself? You really think you have to put it in writing?
So it's amazing to me.
You know what this smacks of, Dan? It smacks to me that what we do is we say, you know what, I'm gonna write an ordinance next month. The ordinance is gonna say, new city council members shouldn't show up for meetings drunk. Because after all, philosophically, that makes sense. It doesn't impugn you at all. It's just a philosophical thing, that, you know, being drunk at meetings is not a good thing. So you're impugning everything we do here by putting these things here, which is so insulting.
So you think every other council feels the same way?
Yes.
You've been on the council for exactly how long?
Really?
You sashay in this door, you go to the top of the mountain, you say, I'm Dan Tantella. I'm in my first council meeting. Here, I'm gonna tell you all how you should behave. You should all listen attentively. You should all make sure that you look forward. You should all make sure you consider the information. Really? Until you got here, we never thought to actually consider the information. We never thought to consider what the evidence was. It took you on the council for one day that this is the first thing you come up with, is this insult.
So.
Some of these things are blatantly illegal. You cannot have some of these things.
So
Okay?
I would argue that it's not illegal.
Dan,
It's
this
taken
is,
from the law.
no, it's not.
Every
I
other
guarantee
town.
you it's not, because
Every-
you cannot do this. This is absolutely wrong, okay?
You see,
Moving along,
Okay, so let's go through some of these. Let's see.
Can we just make sure it's up on the board?
All right, so here we go.
There's a number on there.
Where are we? So we're up to number where? Conduct at public meetings. Inform themselves on the issue. That's great. All right. Next up.
I'm sorry, do you have a problem with that? Or is that something?
I think that's amazing that you would say that we have to inform ourselves, because God forbid, I never would have informed myself
It's
otherwise.
not me saying it.
And I wouldn't listen attentively, because that's pointless. Okay? So why would we do that? Focus on the business at hand. Do you think we're up here playing Pokemon with all the things going on?
Mark,
Why would you tell us to focus on the things at hand?
Why is this upsetting you so much?
Because you're arrogant, walking in here and not spending 1 minute working on the city council. And you walk in the door, and the first thing you say when you walk in the door is, I'm gonna tell you how to run your meeting. You should focus. You know, here's something new. You should consider the information. Really? That's the first thing you thought of when you're now on the council? That's the first thing you do, is to come in here and tell us that we should focus on what we're doing. Okay? That's great. I really appreciate that, because I never would have done that.
Do you think
It's the responsibility of the mayor, council, and advisory board members to publicly share substantive information that is relevant to the matter under consideration that they have received from sources outside the process, which other council and advisory members may take, and the public prior to taking action on the matter? You can't do that. Get off the mountaintop. We get confidential information. We cannot disclose confidential information. When the developers give us preliminary plats, when we're talking about how they're going to develop it, we cannot release that information. It's confidential under law. What do you want? You want Ed to say, this is the information back 20 years ago when he was at AT&T? This is how he's forming his opinion based on his life experiences? You want him to just blabber out there? How do you think that's going to work?
I'm shocked.
How do you think in a practical sense that would work? Explain to me how it works.
Every other town operates under a code of ethics. There's a reason they've done it. It has
Every
nothing-
other
this is-
town does not operate under the code of ethics. We operate under the state. Home rule cities can augment that. Stop making grandiose statements
You're
like
raising-
everybody does
You're
this.
raising your voice and you're lecturing me.
I am.
I get your opinion, and I'm telling you that the first thing I did before I started running was saying, hey, what are other towns doing? What are their best practices? This is one of many best practices that.
This
we
is the
are-
town of Lakewood Village. We are the city council. We are right here. I don't care if the town of Buckwheat, Texas wants to have their own little thing because they've had an embezzlement, or they've got a mayor that's off the rails. This is the town of Lakewood Village. You're talking about the people at this table. You're telling us what you think the people at this table ought to do.
Actually.
I think it's totally disrespectful of you to walk in here and talk about all the effort that's been put in, everybody's done here over
I
years.
think you've talked enough.
And you've done, no, I'm running the meeting, you don't get to say.
Maybe Clint.
No, I'm
or Ed,
running the meeting, all
Or
right?
Ed has an
So
opinion.
let's move ahead, all right? Let's move ahead. So,
So
conflicts of
the
interest.
council doesn't get a chance to speak.
Yeah, I'm running the meeting now, that's
I
right.
just wanna be
You
clear.
don't get to be the mayor,
The
okay? I
council
do.
cannot speak.
That's right, we're gonna move on to the next item, all right?
I-
So don't put words in my mouth,
I'm
okay?
asking a
We're moving
question.
on to the next item.
I'm
You
asking.
want me to have you thrown out?
I'm asking a question here.
You don't get to ask questions. I'm running the meeting. I get to preside. I'm the presiding officer, not you. That's my role. All right? Now, let's move ahead.
Mark, excuse me,
Go ahead.
I don't mean to interrupt, but
Okay?
in light of the conversation today, I'd be interested in knowing what you would like to ask of the rest of the council.
If it sounds reasonable to operate on, and if you did, or if you didn't, what would you change? Or could we take 30 days, give me some changes, and get to the point that we say, hey, this is Lakewood Village's code of ethics. The goal here was to present what other towns have done, which is basically summarize the law, and say, hey, this doesn't work, but this does. Was to get something on our website that says, we operate like this.
But for whose benefit would that be for, Dan?
Because my thought was the people moving to the town, because those are the people that are on the website all the time. But I would say also to say, for the people that, come on the board in the future, you say, look, when you take these positions, this is what you're agreeing to. And just level set. But again, if this is too lengthy, too wordy, something totally wrong. This was a suggestion from other towns. It was not my words, although I have to make.
I'm curious, how many other towns did you find such
About
a
60.
document?
I went through 60 and tried to find a
60
short.
towns in Texas?
I went for a short one. I wanted one that was like a page or two. So I did about 60.
Really?
I can give you like 20 that I saved if you'd like to see them, but I was trying to keep it short.
No, I would like to see it, but, I think this document, first of all, I question the worthiness of the document, the need for the document,
That's valid.
okay? Secondly, I take this as kind of a slap in the face.
It was not meant to be.
And I can appreciate that, maybe it wasn't your intent, but that's the way that I took it when I first saw it. I think a better path would have been, which I guess is some advice for the council as a whole, although I'm not an advice guy. You know, this type of thing probably needs to be discussed with other council members. Not in a forum, but individually. Did that happen? You didn't talk to me about it. Did you talk to anybody else about it?
No.
Okay, I'm just offering a suggestion.
I guess the thing was,
Everyone talk to one another first.
yeah, that's the thing, is because of the open meetings, this stuff has to come out in an open meeting. So I didn't go around and
I mean, you
ask.
can talk one-on-one, right?
Yeah, but I can't go like one-on-one to you and then Mark, and, you know, I can't do that, right? I can only do one person, so I could have done you, and in best practice, I could.
You can do two, I don't count.
So best practice, a good point, so best practice, do we wanna say before we do something like this?
No, I'm not saying,
Actually,
I'm saying, yeah, with something like this, where it could possibly be interpreted
Personally.
differently and personally, yeah, I think that would be a very good suggestion.
actually, in the past, it's always kind of worked that way. It's just unfortunately the way you join, and second meeting, you put something up that is actually very insulting to those of us that have been here for a while. So it's kind of unfortunate the way that went down, but in best practice, it has worked that way for all the ordinances. There's been, I can't think of any of the ordinances that I've done that I haven't actually engaged at least one person, whether it's another council member or the building inspector or Linda. And it's always been-
But all that,
it's always been,
all that being said,
it's always been telegraphed that it's coming, so this is really kind of, really just a true blindside as to,
No, I did go to.
really, this is, after 30 days, after you stood up there and took the oath of office, that you're gonna come in and tell us that really you're feeling that we haven't been operating ethically under state law.
That's not what I said.
That's what it implies.
Well, I mean,
That's what it implies.
That's exactly what it implies.
in 30 seconds or less. My intent was to do what I'd like to do with the website, is elevate us where we want to be. My intent was to say that every other town has raised themselves up to a certain level of standard, and as we grow and get bigger and you bring more people in here, I was trying to mimic the best of what I saw out there. And there's other things, just so you know, there are, and I'm glad we talked at first, but there are other things that other towns do that are best practice. This was just a simple, easy one that I thought was a no-brainer. I certainly didn't have any intent to insult anybody with a code of ethics that I thought was pretty vanilla, because again, I took the short one, the long ones are just too long.
well, I appreciate that, I do, that makes me feel a lot better about the whole thing altogether. But the other big problem that I personally have is what I'm understanding from a legal perspective.
Yeah, and I asked Andy that, you know, listen, Andy, every town, and I just saw a bunch of sites.
Stop saying every town. That's not true. Stop trying to justify what you do by hyperbole, saying every town, every citizen, it's not every town.
I'll finish this thing. Every town that I looked at had an interesting code of ethics. So they all stated the same verbiage in just different orders, because I think they all took it from the same source. So when I asked him, how are the other towns doing, he said, I don't know. And I said, well, if you're simply restating the law, how is that possibly a problem? And I said, when I read these guys, all they did was go, some of them are right in order of all the laws, you know, the courses we gotta take on and stuff.
All these are in the
They're
state
just-
law.
All they did was in my opinion. So when he looked at it, he said, you know, maybe the general towns have not checked if it's legal to do this. He goes, but I see that you listed the laws here. And I said, well, I didn't really list it. The town, the people I copied today all listed it, so I just followed their format. And it was very interesting that when we started looking into what can and cannot be passed, is that there are several ways that towns can say, hey, this is how we operate, as long as you're restating the Texas law. Which, in, you know, my opinion, it seemed like that's what they were doing. But again, I did not expect this to be a big thing. I thought this was gonna be a simple thing. And it was not an attack on anybody. However, I do have to admit, it's an intent to say, the next person that comes up here, this is how we expect you to act. That was kind of my, and look, some of that comes from the history of things that I've heard in the past before I moved here. And maybe we don't want to repeat those steps, and I think that's why other towns pass these, to say, guys, we operate with decorum at all times. That was my intent.
Do you understand that if Eric Farage, at the first MDD meeting, went in there and said, we're gonna pass a new resolution. MDD presidents, starting now, can't beat their wives. They can't abuse their children. We're gonna start that, starting now that I'm the president, we're gonna pass this that says you cannot do that, any president. Philosophically, no problem, right? It doesn't, he's not implying anything, he's not saying anything negative about the past, he's just giving a philosophical thing. Do you understand how insulting this is? That when the first thing you do, the first official thing you do is to tell us, after years of work, years here, working for the town, you've spent zero, and the first thing you do is to tell us how we should act. Do you understand how insulting that is? Belittling how we come to our decisions?
I think somebody, and I don't know who, jumped to a conclusion, and I don't know why. But the point is, every other town that I looked at does something along this line, and it's simply to elevate who the town is and put you at a basic code of ethics that's already prescribed by law. I did not think this would be a big deal. I didn't think someone would take a turn on it, and I certainly didn't think they would bring up this type of discussion. I thought we were discussing, well, that's too long, maybe we should shorten this up a little
It
bit.
should be shortened extremely, if at all, in my judgment.
Yeah,
That's number one.
There's a couple things I can shorten out of there. I mean, it's read simpler and stuff like that. But what I did that was I simply copied and pasted the ones that seemed concise.
Okay, that explains.
So, let me ask you this then. When participation in decision-making public official does not implicate the statutory criteria for conflicts of interest, however, participation still doesn't look or feel right, then you've got the appearance of impropriety. For the faith and confidence that you implemented, you need to step aside, even though there's no technical conflict. So, I sit here and say, Dan, there's Pepsi products in the refrigerator. I don't think that feels right. I think that gives the impropriety. You should step aside. That's such a mamby-pamby,
I'm a diet
unenforceable.
Pepsi
I
drinker.
mean, what? No one is gonna, are you kidding me?
I didn't write
Are you
that.
kidding me?
That, I believe, and I can be wrong, I believe that came from an opinion, and again, I could be wrong, I'm pretty sure most of these came from an opinion, and they're simply reworded into plain English.
This is the town of Lakewood Village. You really think that, what are we gonna do? I mean, so if somebody somewhere doesn't like something that doesn't smell right, they're gonna then say, you should have recused yourself because I don't like the way, how is that even operable? How could you implement that? Anybody, anywhere could say it doesn't smell right, and I could tell you to step down?
I think you need to reword that, reread it.
I think where we're at, if this was a consideration item, and it was put up for vote, I'd be surprised if it even got a second. If it got a second, speculating, so, it's discussion, not that I feel that, I uphold the state law, I uphold the Lakewood Village's ordinances. I don't need a proclamation to tell me that I think we're operating under state law just fine. I'd be disappointed if this showed up again. I don't know how anybody else feels.
I'm not gonna sign it, so you can do whatever you want with the proclamation. I'm not signing
I'm trying to kind of get
something
off
that's
center here, give some direction, and get to the next agenda item so we can go home before tomorrow.
All right, let's move on then. Thank you, Clint. You have any last words?
Hey, if
Last comments?
anybody on the council would like to work with Candace, I'd be more than open to take some guidance, look at what other towns have done, and reward this. If anybody in the council is interested.
Right.
I'll let it 7-10 carry, you know.
That was a, is that a consideration?
No, that's a discussion.
Okay, so we're moving on to the next item then.
Back
This is
online.
Now about financial transparency, so
Yeah.
educate me on that.
So again, in looking at other towns' websites, and Little Elm does a real good job of this too, but just kind of generically looking, what they've done is, and again, we've started down this path. We put our budgets out there, we got our audits out there, we've got a number of things that are on the website. What the state of Texas is doing is they're encouraging all towns to put their financials out there so that the public, who can't attend a meeting or doesn't have access to information, can see the actuals, where money's going, who the vendors are, I mean, virtually everything. And they have this program out there that basically says, hey, if you get to a certain level on your financial disclosures, we give you a star, we give you a medal, and there's all these towns racing to get this. So I really wasn't originally trying to get to this goal, right? But when I looked at the small towns and the big towns that are doing this, they're basically just disclosing the information that's out there, but they're making it easier for the town to see it. The nice thing about what most of them done is they made it searchable. So if you say, the town dead, you can search for dead and stuff pops out, right? So when you take a look at what the county did, they've already done this. When you take a look at what the state did, they've already done it. But now they're going and saying maybe it'd be a good idea for the towns to disclose their financials fully, as opposed to having open records requests and all those stuff. I did read one interesting thing where people were saying, well, maybe this will cut down on people asking for open records requests or coming in the office and reducing the work. So I thought there was an interesting twist, was the more you put on the website, the more efficient you actually make your department, because people can do their own analysis and they can find those things out. The one caveat here is that, and I put a list on there, is that's the list that they're recommending the towns go after. I didn't put on here an order or a preference, and I certainly didn't look into how easy this would be to do, because I don't know it. And I, obviously being a computer guy, I can do this stuff, but the concept of, is QuickBooks able to produce the reports and put the stuff out there in a searchable manner? I think somebody would need to look at that and figure out, can you do this with a little bit amount of work or is it a lot more? We already have the budgets out there. Putting the monthly financials probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. I guess the question is, could we do it where it's searchable and easy enough and didn't take a tremendous amount of time?
Okay, I can tell you right now, we are not gonna make the STARS program, not until we get a finance director, until we get somebody, staff that can update it, and until we can get somebody that's an IT guy. There's no way we're gonna do this, so we don't have the manpower to do this.
So could we at least go in that direction?
We already do, we already have stuff up there. We don't have a finance director, we don't have somebody in charge of finance. Who do you think is gonna do it?
I would just have Linda, when the monthly financials are done, post them on the website and done with it. I wouldn't even change the website a bit. I just post them and say, hey, for this year,
What about our current financial transparency ones?
I'd put it out there.
Well,
I would display it. And this stuff, again, it's state law, right? There's nothing new on here. It's just.
no, what's our current financial transparency ones?
I have no idea.
Why didn't you read the one we already have before you did this?
Because, again, I'm suggesting a state incentive that other towns are doing. Again, here's my mindset, Mark. Other towns are doing great things too. I'm looking at what the other towns are doing. This is one, and I thought, yeah, that's an interesting thing to do. We could probably do this relatively easily. So why not do it to get us to that same level?
Tell me what the Lakewood Village Financial Transparency Ordinance does.
I'm not going down that path. I'm saying this stuff.
Did you even look at what our Financial Transparency Ordinance does? Did you actually see what our current ordinance is?
I'm talking about the state effort to go to the STAR thing. I detailed out what those things are, and I'm suggesting we work towards that. And
What do we already have? What's our current ordinance?
I guess I don't know why we have to have an ordinance to work towards a STARS program.
I don't think, no, it's not an ordinance, is it?
Let me back up. Do you understand
What's the-
that like 5 years ago, we already did this? We actually have an ordinance on the books about financial transparency? We already did that? Do you know that?
The people don't have access to it. I'm just trying to give people access to the information. takes the burden off of Linda, lets everybody see what's going on.
But
So
you understand that?
I don't disagree, there's some gaps in documents
But,
that
you
we
know-
can put on the website, but some of those are case by case. If we
We already have.
pointed out
an
that it's a
ordinance.
gap, we'll put it up there.
I mean, the problem with this, it's not really a problem, it's that we already have information up there. We already have an ordinance, which we did for several years, which was putting up the check registers, putting all the disbursements, we did that for years. You know what happened? Nobody cared. Nobody looked, nobody cared. We have an ordinance that requires us to disclose financial statements. We already have one that already does this, and nobody cared. That's why we stopped doing it, because nobody cared. I'm just, I wish you would have looked at the other ordinance to at least see what, granted, we've only been doing this for years, we actually have thought of this before you got here. We actually have an ordinance, believe it or not. Did you look at it?
Mark, I'm not talking about the ordinance. I'm talking about a state incentive that other towns as best practice are doing for the people.
What's our current practice?
Mark, why do you keep asking me that? I've told you, I've looked at your website, so your practice is what's out there, and it's a great, really good first step. I think you just need to put a few more documents out there. What
My
is the,
concern is that you don't look to see what the idiots at the table have already thought about. And we've already been done it for years. You walk in the door and just say, I'm Dan Tantel, here's what I think you ought to do. You didn't even bother to look and see what we already
I
had.
don't even know how to respond to you. I put a resolution up here to say, let's continue what you've already done. And there's an incentive to do it, and there's directions and videos. And
What is the
things and
incentive to do it? Why don't you explain that to me?
The incentive to do it is, number one, it's the right thing to do for the people, but the state finds it, and other towns have found it too, that it's a good way to run a city.
No, they
It's full
haven't.
disclosure.
Absolutely not. That's bullshit. They have never said that. If this was a good way to run a city, if this was, they'd make it mandatory. Why is it voluntary? Explain to me why this is voluntary disclosure. Why is it voluntary disclosure of accounting information? Why don't you explain that theory to me? I only have a PhD in it.
It's not disclosure of the information, it's putting it on the website to make it easily accessible.
It's
Everything you've
putting it on the
got,
website.
everything
Yes.
you've got is already available to the
Is this
public.
mandatory or voluntary?
The program is voluntary.
Why is it voluntary then if it would help the cities run themselves better? If it's important, don't you think the state would make it mandatory?
Go ahead, Phil.
It's not, it's voluntary.
So just to,
Okay, let me ask you another, because I kind of know a little bit about voluntary accounting disclosure.
so do I, as a matter of fact, it's
I
kind
know
of
it,
cool,
yeah.
you know?
So explain to me, why doesn't Pepsi put out their financials monthly?
Of course.
Why not?
It's called the SEC, you follow the law.
There is no law that says you can't put them out monthly. You can put out financials as often as you want.
I think you might want to read the SEC rules since Sarbanes-Oxley. A few things have changed, but regardless, I do not.
You don't
wanna
think I
talk-
know what
I do not
Sarbanes-Oxley
wanna
is?
talk
You wanna go
about-
there?
I do not want to talk about a company that employs me. I want to talk about just doing what you did on the website, but let's add a little bit more, and maybe someday we can.
Who's gonna add the more?
We can talk about it, do it.
Who? You're not qualified to do it. You have to add text. You have to add financial descriptions. You have to add you don't just say, the debt is this, you have to describe. What is the debt? What kind of debt is it? What does it mean? What's a certificate of obligation mean?
If you would like,
You have to put the terminology with it. You don't just pop up a chart.
if you would like, we can look at what other towns are doing that you may or may not respect, put them up there and say, hey, there's an easy thing to do that gets us a step further towards full disclosure. That's all I'm saying. It's this information is already available to the public. It's just not easy. Putting it on the web makes it easy for people to see. That's my only point here.
Of course it makes it easy. The problem is trying to make it searchable. The problem is updating it. The problem is it requires resources. The immediate problem is you have to have a narrative. You have to have narratives for everything. If you show the balance sheet, you don't just pop the balance sheet up and call it a day. The STARS program requires you to write a narrative, so anybody walking down the street knows what a balance sheet is, what the categories mean, what are the liabilities, what are the assets, what does this mean. It's all a lot of narrative. It's like you're educating them on how to read it. The whole point of STARS is about readability. It's taking the average person that knows nothing, showing them financial statements, and having them be able to figure it out. There's a lot of narrative involved. You're an IT guy, you can do the IT, you can make things pop and flash and spin and stars can explode. Who's gonna write all the narratives? Who's gonna describe all the things that are relevant to Lakewood Village?
Are you saying that you like the idea, but we don't have a way to do it?
I'm saying, let me give you my opinion. I'm saying that while I'm not totally opposed to it, I really question the merits of it.
Of putting it on?
Because always, there's gonna be some people who, go out and are numbers oriented or curious. But as far as, in my judgment, the majority of people don't care. As long as things are, going well and we're replacing streets as fast as we can and that type of thing. But as a suggestion for a next step, since you've birthed this idea, I would like to see a project plan. I'd like to see what would it take and how would it get done.
Step-by-step timeline, goals.
Not necessarily goals, but how are you gonna do it? How's it gonna get done?
Milestone is one part of it, is actually identifying the maintenance associated behind it.
And then I think,
It's one of those, it's great, the intent and everything is there, but there's also a reward, not a reward, right? A diminishing return. We can pay another person to put all that out there, and it doesn't really get us anything, because we're not getting questions about it anyway. And so the things that have been targeted on the website so far have been things that we get questions about, so we use the feedback loop to target the things that we get questions about.
I should tell you, Clint, there's 5 other style awards. This is just one of them. I picked the financial one because I thought it'd be.
what are the other ones? I'm curious.
I know, I can look them up.
Procurement, government
Hiring,
contracting.
maybe?
Yeah, different kind of
Okay.
basic.
It just seemed to me we have QuickBooks. It's a bang report, post the report, done. That was the intent.
Yeah.
And after looking quickly at what, Mark was able to do and the deals they were doing, the budget's already out there. It's just going to the next step.
Well, that's my feedback.
The problem also is that we don't operate on the accrual basis, as you know. Which means the monthly reports, other than the check register, are fine. The balance sheet, the income statement are irrelevant. Our P&L for any given month is high or low, depending upon what we have. We paid the fire and EMS bill 2 weeks ago. You know what, this month? It's a negative. Next month, we don't pay it quarterly. We get a $25,000 check from COSERV in February. So the month of February, we're huge. We got a big P&L, we got a big profit in February. We have a lot of one-offs that happen because we're not on the accrual basis. So I don't know what you're gonna get by looking at P&L. The check register is what we passed. So you can see what we're spending money on. That's what people wanna know. What our accounts receivable is, what the accounts payable are at the end of the month, nobody cares. They wanna know, did you write a check for that, statue tomorrow? They wanna know what the expenditures are. The check register is the key item, not the financials, because we're on the cash basis. We don't do accrual. So no one worth any salt, no professional is gonna give any credence to any of the financial statements on the cash basis, not on the monthly.
But you like the idea of the check register being on?
Absolutely, we already have that ordinance. That ordinance already exists.
So it's on the website?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's on the website, I don't know what's out there. We have a finance, that's what we posted, we posted the check register. We figured, if anybody wants to know what we're spending money on, that's what they ought to know. And it's posted
I like the idea.
every month.
I'm not against it. All I'm saying is, if there's things that the town can put out
They're
there.
referring to what was done, that's not done today.
No, I stopped doing it because nobody cared. I was doing it every month. I did it even though nobody asked.
I know what you're talking about.
And I actually generated the statements every month and put it up there we put it on the bulletin boards. We did it for a couple of years and nobody cared.
I just think it's a good
It
idea.
stopped.
It seems like it's a good idea to keep people informed, and that's one way to do it. And obviously, other people are going after it too, for a reason. I like the product plan idea.
Okay? All right. Anything else? Okay, all right. All right, then, we're gonna go into executive session. So, the next thing is, we are going to,
This is the same thing, there's no votes, there's no nothing afterwards, there's nothing that, occurs afterwards?
I don't anticipate anything. All right, so let me, we're gonna recess into executive session in compliance with 551 Texas Government Code, consultation with town attorney regarding pending or contemplated litigation, Town Lake Village versus Buzios, Texas Government Code with deliberation about real property, and 5510787, economic development negotiations. All right, so we're gonna go into executive session here at 10:25. So we're gonna stay here.